Welcome, my fellow seekers of the macabre truth, to your weekly foray into humanity's darkest corridors. This is Murder Mondays on the Real Crime Diary. I'm MHB, your guide into the chilling realm of the most heinous of crimes. As the echo of suspenseful chords fills the air, take a moment to steel yourself for today's journey, a real-life tale that is as heart-wrenching as it is horrifying. In the quiet stretches of Bakersfield, where life hums with everyday bustle, a monstrous act shook the foundations of two families and the community at large. It's in this unassuming corner of the world where we lay our scene, a tragedy propelled by passion, jealousy, and the fatal finality of a gun's decree. Who are the slain? Who holds the smoking gun? And what dark motives lurk within the perpetrator's psyche? These are the questions we'll be grappling with today. As we embark on this somber path, let the sounds envelop you, the ambient whispers of a park breeze, the ominous footfalls on a lonely road. They are the subtle notes that set our stage. Lean in, listeners, as the curtain rises on another chapter of our Murder Mondays, the day we dissect the intricate weavings of criminality, seeking answers in the impenetrable night. It's time to unravel the case of Gudelio Grande, a narrative as sorrowful as it is sinister. So, shall we begin? In today's episode of Murder Mondays, we're unraveling the threads of a story that exposes the raw, unfiltered nature of human jealousy, rage, and the consequences that follow when they consume a person whole. What you're about to hear is not just a tale of murder, but a cascade of decisions that culminated in a heart-wrenching finale. We step into Bakersfield, California, in the summer heat of 2019, where the lives of two individuals, Marbeli Castro Garcia and Emilio Diaz Chavez, were brought to a sudden, violent end. The man at the center of this storm, Gudelio Grande, a 46-year-old whose actions on the fateful day of July 21st would send ripples through the community, tearing apart the facade of an ordinary life to reveal something much darker beneath. The narrative begins earlier in July with a domestic dispute. Grande at that time inflicted violence on his girlfriend, Marbeli Castro Garcia, prompting her to seek refuge with a friend. They flee to Los Angeles, leaving behind Grande and the battered fragments of a relationship founded upon control. Marbeli's escape to LA was supposed to provide a respite, a temporary release from the clutches of danger. Yet, as is often the case in tragedies, danger has a way of biding its time. Upon returning to Bakersfield, unaware that a fuse had already been lit, Marbeli's attempt to regain normalcy leads her to an introduction to Emilio Diaz Chavez. Little did they know, this new acquaintance would draw the watchful, vengeful eyes of Grande. We imagine the scene. Marbeli Castro Garcia and Emilio Diaz Chavez shared a moment as simple and sweet as picking up lunch and deciding to enjoy it on a bench at Rexland Acres Park, a moment of solace, perhaps a breath of fresh air in the lingering chaos of Marbeli's life. In these delicate, treasured seconds, pure intentions were met with misplaced fury. Gudelio Grande found them together, and it's within this revelation that we're forced to confront a chilling scenario. Grande, upon witnessing this peaceful tableau, drew his weapon. With the cold precision of jealousy morphed into homicidal rage, he shot Castro Garcia twice. In a horrific instant, her life was extinguished. As Chavez, fueled by pure instinct and the will to survive, attempted to flee, Grande gave chase. His violent pursuit didn't end until he caught up with an injured Chavez on East Fairview Road, where multiple gunshots finalized the dreadful act. In the days that followed, while grief and disbelief permeated the air of Bakersfield, investigators were putting together the jagged pieces of this puzzle. Grande had hidden the murder weapon in his work locker, a detail that speaks volumes about his mindset and foresight. Was there a chilling level of premeditation here? Was Grande's intent to hold on to the weapon as some form of macabre trophy? DNA technology wouldn't let Grande's attempt at covering his tracks go unnoticed. It further connected him to the gun, to the irrevocable decisions that shattered so many lives. Yet as the court read out the verdicts, Grande's expression, or lack thereof, was a window into the core of a man who could not or would not register the depths of his own monstrosity. Sentenced to life behind bars without the possibility of parole, Grande's story forces us to ask ourselves uncomfortable questions about humanity, justice, and the stories behind heinous acts that often go untold. The bubbling surface of Bakersfield's calm summer days belied the turmoil that lay beneath, a turmoil that claimed 2 lives, destroyed families, and changed the course of history for all involved. As we close this chapter and step back from the visceral reality of that tragic day in July, it's not the gruesomeness that we're left pondering, it's the series of choices, the human psyche so filled with darkness that it spills over to touch the innocent, the lethal possibility that lies waiting in the shadows of mundane lives. And for Marbeli Castro Garcia and Emilio Diaz Chavez, the end of their story was written in the ink of senseless violence, a stark reminder of the fragility and preciousness of life. Behind the headlines of every story of senseless violence, there lies a complex tapestry of psychological and sociological factors. So let's take a closer look at the case of Gudelio Grande and the tragic loss of Marbeli Castro Garcia and Emilio Diaz Chavez. This isn't just about the sequence of the crimes, but about understanding what drives someone to such destructive extremes. The first question that bubbles up in the mind is why? What motivates a man with no prior record to such brutality? Now, experts highlight that domestic violence is often about power and control. And Grande's assault on Castro Garcia 3 days before the murders could signify his perceived loss of control over her. It's horrifying, isn't it? The thought that someone could think they own another person's choices, actions, and life to such an extent. The weekend trip Castro Garcia took to Los Angeles could have been seen as an act of defiance by Grande, an escape from his oppressive grip. And the introduction of Chavez in her life, innocent as it appears, just lunch at a park bench, might have been the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. In Grande's mind, here was someone stealing what he saw as his, not just anyone, but someone Marbeli had chosen over him. Now, psychologists often mention the term narcissistic rage when discussing crimes of passion. It refers to an intense, overpowering reaction to the threat of a bruised ego or diminished self-image. Could Grande's destructive act have been a result of such rage? Clinical psychologist Dr. Jane Richardson describes it as a violent outburst stemming from the shock of having one's self-perception challenged or insulted, suggesting that Grande's violence was an extreme measure to restore his self-worth and dominance. Sociologically speaking, this case also begs the question of the broader community's role in either preventing or tragically enabling such outcomes. The seclusion that often accompanies abusive relationships, as illustrated by Castro Garcia fleeing to a friend's house, can both provide temporary shelter and unintentionally facilitate tragedy by isolating the victim. Sociologist Dr. Liam Edwards notes that community observation and intervention can be double-edged swords. While they are crucial in helping victims, they can also force the hand of an abuser feeling cornered. Grande's behavior after the murders, stashing the gun in his work locker and trying to flee when cornered by the police, displays a pattern of both premeditated actions and a primal survival instinct. Forensic psychologist Amelia Sutton adds, "The ability to plan alerts us to the defendant's mental state and capabilities. However, the subsequent flight response shows the inherent contradiction in a criminal's psyche, a mix of cold calculation and desperate instinct." But the narrative does not conclude with the psychological unraveling of the assailant. Dr. Derek Moore, a criminologist, suggests an examination of the life Grande led up till then. The absence of a criminal record does not assure a non-criminal mindset, Dr. Moore explains. There are dynamics of environment, upbringing, personal relationships, and even economic conditions that all intertwine to mold human behavior. Experts bring to light an important fact. The portrayal of a killer is often one-dimensional. Grande might have been a co-worker, a friend, maybe a loving family member to others. It is the complexity of his character, that someone could be capable of love in one area of their life and utter violence in another, that baffles and intrigues. And here we see how crucial and enlightening professional insights can be. They help us peel back the layers, understand the often invisible yet powerful currents that lead to such tragic realities. As we continue to process this human puzzle, we're led to wonder, Could there have been interventions at any point that might have altered this bleak outcome? Could the signs of brewing violence have been spotted? Could support networks have provided Marbelli the sanctuary she needed? The intertwining of Grande's psyche, his interaction with societal norms and expectations, and the culmination into his irreversible acts of violence cast a stark light on the importance of understanding not just the how, but the why of such tragedies. As we dissect this case further, we bear in mind the precious lives cut short and the unquestionable need for deeper, informed community engagement in preempting such futures. Now, as this paints a psychological landscape around the case of Gudelio Grande, let's not forget that at the heart of this are two individuals who became unwitting pawns in a deadly eruption of another's volatility. In our next segment, we ask you, our listeners, to weigh in on the motives and methods behind this case. Perhaps together we can untangle the complexities of human nature's shadow side. Stay tuned. It's that time of the episode, my fellow sleuths, where we put our heads together in what I like to call the listener's theory corner. The case of Gudelio Grande is complex, chilling, and leaves us grappling with many unanswered questions about what drives a person to such extremes. So let's dive a bit deeper, shall we? We've dissected the timeline. Grande's assault on Marbelli just days before the murders, her attempt to find safety, and the tragic end at Rexland Acres Park. But what really goes on in the mind of a man like Gudelio Grande? What was the ultimate motive that pushed him over the edge to commit not one but two murders in cold blood? Was it jealousy, a crime of passion born out of seeing Marbelli with Emilio Chavez, a man who was little more than a stranger to him? Or could there have been a deeper, more sinister psychological unraveling at play here? Grande, after all, had no criminal record in Kern County prior to this, an ordinary man on the surface, yet capable of extraordinary violence. And let's think about the method. How calculated were Grande's actions? The fact he stashed the murder weapon in his work locker, attempted to flee and was caught with a loaded stolen firearm, does it point to premeditation? Or was it an impulsive act that spiraled into a horrendous tragedy? I want to hear your theories. What do you believe was the driving force behind Gudelio Grande's actions? Have any of you experienced a time when jealousy made you feel outside of yourself? How close do you think someone might come to the edge before the unthinkable happens? Furthermore, let's discuss the methods. Do you believe Grande had this planned out? Were there signs that could have signaled his intent to those around him? Could anything have been done to prevent this double murder? I ask you to chime in, share your insights, perhaps share similar cases that might shed light on this one. And remember, your engagement is key to unraveling these heinous crimes. Theories can sometimes illuminate paths that are otherwise left in the dark. Can we learn from this? Can we recognize warning signs and work toward preventing such tragedy in the future? Let's come together as the community of true crime enthusiasts we are and dissect the intricacies of this case. Use the hashtag #MurderMondayTheories to share your thoughts on social media. Engage with fellow listeners, debate respectfully, and maybe, just maybe, we might come closer to understanding the incomprehensible. Join me next Murder Monday as we delve into the listener theories from today's episode. Until then, keep the curiosity alive and don't forget, the answers we seek can sometimes be found in the very questions we dare to ask. We've traversed the grim paths and tangled motives that led to the callous murder of Marbelli Castro Garcia and Emilio Diaz Chavez by Gudelio Grande. A lover's rage, jealousy, perhaps a sense of betrayal. We've speculated on what dark forces drove a man to commit such a heartless act. Yet, as we come to a close, I can't help but reflect on the deeper layers of this case. How does love, a force that's supposed to nurture and protect, morph into a catalyst for destruction? How does possessiveness overshadow the sanctity of two lives? It's a chilling reminder of the paradoxes that dwell within human emotions. The lines between love and obsession, between care and control, can be perilously thin. Grande's actions were his own, indisputable and inexcusable, but maybe there's something to be gleaned about the society we live in too. What reflections do you have about the events we've discussed? How do you think the outcome could have been different if at any point someone had noticed Grande's escalating behavior and intervened? Now, it's time for you to weigh in on these ponderous questions. Join our growing community of armchair detectives and true crime aficionados on social media. Let's keep the conversation going. What are your theories? What insights or similar cases come to mind? This is not just storytelling, it's a shared exploration into the darkest crevices of the human psyche. And as we build this community, remember that your voice is vital. Comment, share your perspectives, challenge the theories we've laid out today. Every angle you share enriches our collective understanding and adds to the rich tapestry of Murder Mondays. Before we part, if this episode has struck a chord with you, make sure to connect with us online. Subscribe to our channels, like and share this episode. Help us spread not just the stories of the crimes, but also the lessons they bear. Your engagement is the heartbeat of this community, the ripple that turns into a wave of deeper understanding and connection. So until next Monday, keep those gears of analysis turning. And remember, in the chilling tales of Murder Mondays, we're not just passive listeners. We're active participants in unpacking the complexities of crime. Stay safe, stay curious, and most importantly, stay engaged. And as the shadows lengthen and another Murder Monday draws to a close, you've journeyed with me into the heart of darkness that beats in the chest of humanity. The tale of Gudelio Grande, Marbeli Castro Garcia, Emilio Diaz Chavez, 3 lives entangled in a fatal ballet, leaves us with heavy hearts and troubled minds. But remember, this isn't where our journey ends, it's where the conversation begins. True crime isn't just about the stories we tell, it's about the dialogues we foster, the insights we share, and the community we build together. This case has been closed, but the doors to understanding and preventing such tragedies swing wide open with your help. So lean in, lend your voice. What did today's story evoke in you? What theories do you harbor in the recesses of your own detective's mind? Don't let the conversation end with my voice. Carve out a minute to subscribe. Click that like button, comment with your thoughts, and share this episode so others can join us in this crucial exploration. You're an essential part of the Real Crime Diary. Your engagement brings these stories into the broader light where we can all see just a little clearer. And if you're craving more, follow us on social media where our Murder Mondays continue to unfold in real time. Dive deeper into crime psychology. Hear directly from experts, and keep your sleuthing skills sharp as we uncover more mysteries. Remember, we're not just passive listeners to these tragedies. We're the active shepherds of change, one episode at a time. Our collective curiosity and attention can and does make a difference. Until next time, stay vigilant, keep questioning, and always preserve that spark of justice. I'm MHB, signing off from the Real Crime Diary. Daily dose of crime, Murder Mondays. We'll meet again to peel back another layer of the human psyche. Good night, detectives of the dark.